Welcome to another brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds. This is the light-hearted podcast where we look to talk about comic books, movies, and everything in between. I'm your host, Zane, also known as Zane Cho, the captain of anime. This week, I've got a special guest. As you all know, Gentlemanly Gamer is currently on holiday, so I've decided to rope in a friend. Katie, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time to be here. How are you? You good?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. No, thanks for being here. For those listening and watching, Katie's credentials, do check out. We did a thorough interview beforehand, and they were all top marks. So, yes, Katie has seen Marvel movies and DC movies, and more importantly, today's subject, Jurassic Park, which I made a mistake. I thought it was Jurassic Park Domination.
No. Oh, no, yeah. No, you did think it's Domination. Dominion. Domination, we were chatting before, and I said, you know what, Domination might have been a more interesting and memorable title, but hey-ho.
That was the test. You passed the test. Well done.
Yes, yeah, I know the title of the movie. I've definitely been to see it, definitely seen the poster.
Fantastic. So we're going to have a word from our sponsors, Surfshark VPN.
Zane, did you know that I love to surf?
No, I didn't.
I know, it's amazing. You'd never believe it looking at me, but I am an avid surfer. Not of the sea, though. Oh, no. I am a surfer of the World Wide Web, my friend. And let me tell you something. When I go surfing, I definitely need some protection. Not the usual kind of wetsuit, though. I need some VPN. Do you know what VPN means, Zane?
I don't. What's a VPN?
Well, it would be a virtual private network, and let me tell you, we here at Undisputed Nerds are being sponsored this week, and a big thank you to the episode sponsor, Surfshark VPN. You can get Surfshark VPN 83% off and 3 months free, Zane, if you go to surfshark.deals/Undisputed Nerds and enter in the promo code Undisputed Nerds. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole world of content libraries, Zane. So think about it this way. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. You can get all of your Batfleck content that I know you love, Zane. I know you're looking for. If you're outside of the UK as well, you can watch amazing apps like BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE network with its far superior functionality. We've been using, me and Zane have been using Surfshark here at Undisputed Nerds for a while. It is our official VPN, and it doesn't just let us gain access to all the comic book movies, but it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private. Thankfully, so that people can't see me purchasing wetsuits. My favorite feature on the Surfshark, it knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection, like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's like having, I don't know, Batfleck's Justice League for your phone, Zane.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I know you've got a lot of Batfleck on your phone right now. So sign up to Surfshark today by using our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/Undisputed Nerds, where you'll get, again, 83% off and your first 3 months free if you use the code Undisputed Nerds. We really appreciate if you just at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support Undisputed Nerds and support your internet privacy with Surfshark.
Do you want to talk about Jurassic World?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, and I thought it'd be quite fun at the start so that I don't. It's obviously subjective opinions of what we're talking about today, but I thought after 3, we'll say whether we loved it or hated it, so that we're not kind of persuaded by the other person. Because if you say you love it and then you feel guilty because I've said I hated it, and vice versa. So I thought after 3, we'd say love it or hate it, and then we know. Whether we're in agreement or not, and not just siding with the other person because we feel bad.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like that. I don't know how it's going to work because we're currently doing this on a on a video call, so there might be like a 2-second delay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll count down. I'll do a 3, 2, 1, and then I'll wait for the lag, and then I'll see how we get to. I think it works. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, actually, let's go 1, 2, 3 after 3. 1, 2, 3. Loved it.
Loved it. Hey! There you go.
Woo! Light lag, but it's fine. We've just a slight delay, but we got the same outcome.
We nailed it.
Nailed it.
There you go.
No, loved it. I think it's an absolutely it's an energetic film, and it has all the attributes I want from a film. So I came out beaming.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I'm just going to be boring and hit you with some of the digits that came out of this. So Jurassic World, its budget was 185 million. It looks like it's on track in terms of box office numbers. So currently, I want to say it's doing 145 million after the big opening weekend. Where was I? Deadline. There we go. So yeah, it's knocked off Top Gun, but that had already, was a mass success out of nowhere, by the way. Like, who knew a film from the 80s with a sequel in like 2020 would be so ridiculously good? But it seems to be on track and doing well, even though it had quite a lot of criticisms before the opening weekend. Did you happen to see any sort of reviews or anything going into this?
Do you know what? I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I know I've done that before with watching Jurassic Park previously. You go on your Rotten Tomatoes and it will always have a low score, but actually the enjoyment factor, I think they need a different scale of enjoyment factor.
Yeah.
Because the Rotten Tomatoes scale, you are comparing films in, completely different categories, like Top Gun versus this film, where Top Gun, the actors trained to be pilots, or all of the big stuff and the aircraft, it's all real. Whereas this is lighthearted and fun. It's not Oscar-winning type, cinematography. It is what it is. So I think the Rotten Tomatoes score will always sway you in the wrong direction rather than, am I going to come out enjoying it? It's the same with Suicide Squad. I think that, that always gets slated before you have the chance to go and see it. But I think with this one as well, I watched it the opening night. So I think I sort of avoided all the noise of the internet before going in, which gave me a really nice clear runway of going, right, old and new worlds colliding. How is this going to pan out? Completely open-minded.
That's cool to hear, because sadly we did look at reviews beforehand, and we went into this expecting it to be, dare I say, as bad as Morbius.
Oh,
so
I did read reviews. I was like, no, don't go watch it.
Not even the re-release entitled you, it drawed you into it.
No, I don't know. I just wasn't hooked on the trailer either. I just thought, that's not for me. Not interested.
No. Oh dear! Don't tell Jared Leto.
I won't. I mean, I think he's amazing as an actor, and his characters are so diverse as well. He needs a lot of kudos, and then I think that one he was sort of thrown a bit of a bad hand. They probably glossed it completely up and gave him a fat pay package, and he went, "Yep, okay, cool," but yeah, not for me. I think he's he was in House of Gucci and was unrecognizable as a character. Some say his accent was questionable. I think he was
From what I've heard, it's very Nintendo Mario style.
It really is, but then I think everyone's generalizing. I just he's playing the character. The character may well have sounded like that in real life, so maybe
exactly.
He's done a good job.
Exactly, and he's a big method actor as well, so he would have stayed in character for at least 3 months.
Definitely. No, it was funny. It was
great. I think a lot of people agree with you as well. So, for example, just having a quick look at Rotten Tomatoes, it received a 30% critics review, where the audience score was 79. So I think a lot of people, including myself, had a real blast with this movie. And it's kind of like, as long as you don't overthink it, it's like you just have a great time sort of thing. It's not like...
I think it's like, it's one of those where you don't have to piece together the storyline. It's very obvious what's happening at each point. And I think that the best way that I could describe it and what I felt when it came out, it felt like a mixture of Indiana Jones, James Bond, Mission Impossible, and Jurassic Park thrown in, and it had all the nice attributes of a really exciting film. And I found with this one, it wasn't so much the tension like you had in the original Jurassic Park with like really slow footsteps and that sort of heart pounding moment of, something's coming, but you don't know when. I found this one to be more of a thriller, I think, more live action thriller, or, I definitely compare it more to your James Bonds and Mission Impossible style movies than I would to a conventional Jurassic Park, where it's the sort of they keep you on the edge of your seat waiting, and someone's going to die at some point, or you can see yourself in a scenario going, oh my god, if I was under the kitchen cabinets, what would I be doing? Or if I was in that car, what would I be doing? And your life flashes before your eyes of going, oh, my friends and family, how would I save them? Whereas this one, you could just enjoy it for what it was, the effects, the stunts, and it just had everything all encompassing for me.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's it's just a fun little ride. I guess you kind of touched on it already, but do you want to kind of talk about characters?
Yeah, I mean, to get that many characters to come back and those actors to all commit in one movie, I mean, well done. I think that's really impressive. I think just seeing Jeff Goldblum back in action, what's not to love? I think it's really nice how they had the sort of Sam Neill and Laura Dern characters sort of coming back together and colliding in a more sort of romantic way, which was nice, but it wasn't so much in your face. It was kind of an old friendship, an old flame. They also share the same passion, which is dinosaurs, so that really came through really nicely. But then I loved how you had these sort of Chris Pratt and Sam Neill characters coming together of old and new, almost sharing tips with each other. And I was like, oh, I just love this. Like, we've evolved. Like, the whole thing's evolved. So I thought they did it really eloquently and introduced some new characters as well who I fell in love with. And I think I now have a new crush.
Oh, really?
I do, yes. I've written her name is so it's DeWanda Wise. So she played Kyla Watts, the female pilot.
Yes.
And I was just like blown away. I thought she was so talented. I loved her character. I loved that it was a strong female lead who was the hero that came through on all of this, even though she was sort of good and bad in the start. And I thought that for me, I really, really appreciated in the film. And it was nice to get away from conventional roles of men and women in the movies. And also giving her a part where, it's quite a big thing actually, because I found that her part was, I guess, even stronger than your Chris Pratt's parts. Like, she had a bigger role to play in it, whereas Chris Pratt this time was playing dad. Having his knowledge that he knows of protecting his daughter. Whereas I think when you've got a female character like that, who's just sort of a girl boss in this movie, absolutely blown away. Loved it.
Yeah, same. Like, I really like there's normally a term in writing known as the swashbuckling character. So it's kind of like the Han Solo archetype sort of thing. And like you said, she really played to her strengths in that role, like the pilot, the negotiations when it came to smuggling dinosaurs across borders and stuff. It was really cool. I liked it.
I kind of had all vibes of like Mandalorian coming through as well. There's like a big sort of underground bar scene. I was like, oh, it's very Cantina vibes, and I love that.
Absolutely,
really nice of having that sort of character in that film and having that underworld. And then also taking on one of the female baddies as well. I can't remember her name in the film, but the lady who captured the daughter, so the lady who captured Maisie Locke.
I think her name is Siona Santos. Just got the character list in front of me. Who had the trained raptors?
Trained raptors. Yes, her. Yes.
Trained them with the little laser. Yeah.
That's her. That is her. I thought she reminded me so much of Vanessa Kirby as well.
Yeah.
in Mission Impossible Fallout. She was the baddie in that.
Yes, yeah. I see where you're going from.
Vibe going on. It's one of those characters that you don't really need, but you need someone in there who's doing the dirty work. So I could see why she was there, but equally I was just like, oh, this is kind of filler we don't really need. We could have kind of had someone else doing this, but it created a bit of action and tension.
Absolutely. I guess in terms of some of the other characters that I was kind of blown away by is the main villain in this, who I'm currently trying to find, Lewis Dobson. I don't know about you, and you can say no comment on this, but I got a real weird Tim Cook vibe, like CEO of Apple sort of vibe about this, about his performance, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I think, you could definitely see the behaviors and the traits that he'd taken from a powerful leader. But I think what was really interesting about this film, and I guess it is quite similar to a lot of films now, is having a villain who's not using weapons and violence to sort of overpower a scenario and overthrow a scenario, and just using money, the themes of like money and greed and technology and innovation. But it probably started off as a mission where he was trying to do good, or did have a slightly different motive, but then getting completely sidetracked the more powerful he became, all of a sudden you've got a baddie quite quickly. But I actually thought the play on it having the Tim Cook vibes, I thought it was brilliant, because I mean it was very obvious in the way he was, the attire, the setting of his base as well, having a donut shaped layer, if you want to call it that. All of it. It was an obvious nod, and I almost hope Tim Cook watches it and laughs at it, as opposed to going, "Oh my goodness, is that what you think of me as a person?" But no, I liked it, and I think it's frightening, though, the amount of power I think in the real world that influencers like Tim Cook can have. So let's just hope that nobody attempts to resurrect a dinosaur. Otherwise, I don't think it's looking good.
Or else Tim's got them.
It's... or Elon Musk, because they had the Hyperloop references as well, which I definitely appreciated. I was like, is that sponsored? Is that an ad? Or is that just, him being a fan of the franchise?
That's an idea, Saying that, a little deviation, but I was watching Iron Man 2 the other day, and the fact that Elon Musk is in that is still wild to me. Like,
but then again, I always think we're seeing Donald Trump in Home Alone.
Home Alone, yeah.
When did that happen? There you go.
I guess, well, the last thing I just want to say about the characters is Chris Pratt, I thought, was amazing as always in this. I don't know what it is about him as like this sort of, how do I say this? Him being like a ranch hand with dinosaurs in that opening sequence. I was like, what is about you in flannel, horseback riding? Plays to all your strengths. Like, stop it.
That was the first comment I said to my friends as well. I was like, oh my goodness, Chris Pratt on a horse. Like, wow. That's nice. That's nice to watch. And just seeing like these worlds colliding of like typical conventional, as you said, like a ranch hand's like coming into this world of like, okay, well, you actually wrangle dinosaurs as well. Like, oh, it's just beautiful, lovely cinematography at the start. Like, great.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, this is crazy. But it plays to his strengths. Like, he's been in Magnificent Seven and other movies in a similar vein. But yeah, and like you said before, walking away from this, I was like, why isn't he Indiana Jones right now? Like, this feels like everything else about this was Indiana Jones, but in name.
Yeah.
But crazy. You've mentioned some of the the photography. Yeah. The visuals in this, I thought were amazing, and I felt like they made a real effort to go into more puppeteering to opposed to CGI and everything.
Yes, I'd
Did you get
agree with
that?
you on that. And I feel it's
Yeah.
a lot stronger. And I always get disappointed sometimes with the CGI. I sometimes think, oh, it feels really lazy. But then I know how much goes into the animation and how many
Yeah.
hours go into it. So to try and get that level of detail would be nigh on impossible. And I
Yeah.
think what they tried to attempt this time as well with, some of the characters. I say characters, you call dinosaurs characters.
I guess Blue's a character by now. Like,
Character. So there was a feathered dinosaur, so kind of like playing to the knowledge that we now have around particular species of dinosaurs having feathers,
yeah.
the level of detail on that. But also, I feel like they spent a lot of the money getting the settings right, and then they could play
Yes.
to the puppeteering. So everything you looked at felt real, and there wasn't one moment where I looked at a backdrop or a sketchy forest scene or a sketchy house. We thought, oh, it just doesn't quite cut it. Whereas this time I felt immersed in the world and it didn't feel cheap. And every bit of animation they did on any of the dinosaurs or any of the creatures that are featured in there looked really strong and believable.
Yeah.
So yeah, thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I again humbly agree. I think as you say, the backgrounds and some of the forestation used in this was amazing. It also crossed my mind. I was like, I think this is the movie with potentially the most different types of dinosaurs we've seen. As you rightly mentioned, the feathered dinosaurs. There was another dinosaur that had like these weird sort of long Wolverine-like claws.
Yes, yeah, terrifying.
With a beak, and I was just like, that is nightmarish.
Was that wasn't like the Helosaurus, or was that the other? No, that was the bigger carnivore T-Rex.
Yeah, the apex predator, wasn't it? That one.
Yes, I didn't know, but they're all terrifying in different ways, but it definitely felt like your worst nightmares coming true with these particular dinosaurs. And again, just thinking, oh my goodness, if that was in front of me, what would I do? But I thought what was really nice about the way in which they created these characters from a cinematography point of view, it felt like every scene could be a wallpaper, as in a desktop wallpaper. I could just screenshot it and I'm happy with what I see here. Everything looks seamless. All of the different backdrops looked incredible, and every visual I felt like it was just a standalone piece. Normally you kind of have that sort of drab moment. You're like, okay, I've kind of had enough of this now, but every single frame, that's a picture postcard for me.
Absolutely. And my heart goes out to Bryce Dallas Howard, because her performance, she does get chased quite a lot in this movie by dinosaurs and such. But her facial, for someone who gets chased, let's say, at least 5 times, every delivery is different compared to the last one. And
that's so true.
She is absolutely phenomenal in this. And yeah, I it's sad to see her walk away. Well, I don't know if she's walk away from acting, but I know she's directing more with Mandalorian and stuff. So yeah, she's fantastic in this as well.
I want more. I just think, as an actress, I think it's a real shame. This is the sort of movie that will never win Oscars, which is a real shame because it really is up there for the talent that comes out of it from the movie makers themselves, so the people involved in actually creating it, right through to the acting. It's just a different category. It's like your Jim Carrey's. He's never going to be up there for winning that sort of award, and it's a shame because Bryce Howard, I mean, she's phenomenal as an actress, and everything that comes out of her mouth, every expression is believable and plausible. And this time kind of seeing that maternal instinct coming through as well from her, but also the way in which she played with the Laura Dern character as well. They're both really strong women who are clearly smart and know what they're doing, and also very protective of the people that are around them. I just think it was, I mean, she was the one I think that made me feel a bit more gut wrenching throughout it, because you could see her pain. And I think that in itself, hats off to her. She did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. And that sequence where she ejects out of the aircraft, like leading up to it, it felt like an hour, because they're saying goodbyes in a weird way. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, I thought you can't end it there. And it is just, you could see the fear in her face, and that again, it was that sort of moment where you're thinking, what would I do in that scenario? And I felt every inch of that scene. And I think, you know, all the way through that storyline, I think it's so strong, and I don't think they've really captured that in any of the previous movies of the franchise. I think the closest they've probably got to it is when, you know, in the original movie, just having children for a start that are put in these circumstances, and then you all of a sudden your body takes over, going, "Oh my goodness, you protect those kids for goodness sake!" And this time it felt real, and you could see the pain and the stress and trauma sort of going through their eyes of you know, trying to protect Maisie.
Yes. Funny you should bring up Maisie. I know it's not something we've actually mentioned, but I thought great child actor. Like, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel, you know, cardboard. I thought she actually delivered really well.
I was blown away. I could just see her just appearing in movie after movie as child actor that then becomes superstar. I liked that she was quite a, I guess like not a closed book, but just a very vacant, quite a neutral stare the whole way through. So you could never really tell what she was thinking, because she's trying to act strong. And I think I got the impression they were trying to play on the Chris Pratt character, where, you know, she's trying to be like dad in this scenario.
Do you think?
Of kind of being like, I've got this, I'm strong. And then the vulnerabilities come through later in the movie where the things really are out of her control. But no, I can see her going on to really big things. I thought she was outstanding.
Absolutely. I guess the last character we haven't really spoken about is Dr. Henry Wu, who's had like a real sort of character arc over these 3 films. Great performance, I thought. You know, it feels like an absolute redemption arc for Dr. Henry Wu.
It was like, it's that sort of moral judgment, I think, on a character, because there's a scene where they're all trying to flee. There's a helicopter all fired up, and it's like, you've been with us, what do we do? And I think that's where it was nice with that storyline for a character like Maisie, who's a younger and you think less knowledgeable person who's on his side and kind of backing his corner, going, do you know what? I trust this guy. He's done wrong, but I truly believe he's trying to correct his mistakes, and he was under the influence of you know, senior leaders or who we thought to be innovators. So I thought, I thought it was a great way to kind of, I guess, conclude his story, perhaps. Great.
It was quite the journey, and I guess I know we've talked a lot about the great stuff in this movie. To kind of flip it on its head, the sort of bad stuff. It's kind of weird that this is a movie about locusts, like eating crops and stuff in a dinosaur movie. And his whole purpose is trying to find a way to stop them, so that we can all coexist. But it's that was a kind of a weird thing. But hey, he had a great hero's arc at the end of the day.
I think with that, I mean, I have read a lot of the internet's comments on this with regards saying that, you know, this should be a storyline about dinosaurs. But the reality is, you've kind of got to a point with the franchise now where there's only so many times you can go, a dinosaur's escaped, or there's a world that we have not learned from our previous mistakes, that this will end very badly. But having something that can go across continents, I think that's the only way that they could really do that, because a pterodactyl doing that was only going to convey one story. Whereas the idea of like mass multiplication of these species and destroying the world, I actually think was quite a clever way of doing it, just to show how genetics, and you messing around with it and you playing with that, it starts small, and if you then went on to do that with a bigger species of dinosaur, then you're in serious trouble. But for me, I thought it was really clever the way that they did it, because you're still getting a sort of prehistoric attribute out there, but for something that's quite a small creature and blowing it up, you know, tenfold, all of a sudden you've got a problem on your hands. So for me, I actually think that was a really clever way of intentionally going, we don't have to have these huge carnivores who are going to destroy everything. And that's been previous storylines. This time it's like, we're going to take something really small and we're going to do it en masse. And that is just bison flexing their muscles, kind of going, we're going to start with this, and actually we're going to start messing around with life and life's creation, and all of a sudden, oh God, we've done a hiccup and a boo-boo. And then all of a sudden, what does that mean for, the dinosaurs? And then what does that mean for your big carnivores? Are they going to multiply and going to grow twice as big? So I think either it's teeing up something else, but I actually think it was probably a really, for me, I think it's a more clever way of building a storyline around prehistoric creatures.
Absolutely, because this is the 6th movie in a franchise. Like, as you say, there's only so many times you can say dinosaurs have broken out. So yeah, I completely agree with you there. And it felt, I guess, in so many ways, this was a machination, or it was the device to solved. So happens to be during a Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The my last gripe with it was the hand pose. The everyone learns it like it's the new the new.
I don't know whether you noticed. I think you've just triggered something in my mind actually that I remember towards the end, and I think they did it to. I want to say they did it to a human or to a character, whereas they were doing it all to the dinosaur, and they were then doing it very quite light touch to a couple of human characters as well. And I felt like that might have been symbolism. I'm going to go deep on that, and something quite symbolic to kind of go. The power of no weapons. We just have to use our hands and cooperate. I'm pretty sure I remember towards the end of the movie, them using that gesture to kind of use it against humans as well, to diffuse the situation. So I'd like to watch it back. See whether it's right, but I remember having that thought in the cinema, so I'm pretty sure there's something there, and perhaps it was a way to kind of convey that for people who haven't seen previous Jurassic Park movies, perhaps. But yeah, I do get it. It felt overused, but then I thought, well, the guys who haven't seen any of the other movies, you've got to sort of reiterate it.
Maybe, It's just it's a weird thing. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, what do people love about the first Jurassic World? And it's like Chris Pratt on a bike with some raptors around him. Okay, let's do a chase scene with that. And then the open palm technique that stops any dinosaur. It's kind of like, but this time we get Dr. Grant to do it. $1 billion.
I mean, it's those kind of things where I'm like, they're doing it on purpose to kind of show the behaviors of the characters. So that's why I wasn't too upset by it. My upset comes from the Godzilla Kong style scenes, of where you've got like the T-Rex and the Helosaurus and that dinosaur all doing this battle, and I'm like, they're creatures. Like, you don't see dogs fighting like that. That was my only gripe of the film, and the rest I can handle.
That's cool. I guess the only sort of standout moment for me was Jeff Goldblum reenacting the first movie by hiding in the car, then coming out with a fire on a stick and chasing down the T-Rex. I was like, don't change Jeff.
His character is just brilliant, and I feel like it's not a character. I feel like that's him. Anything you 100%. See him, like his Disney series, where he I think it's Life According to Jeff Goldblum, and I just think it's so easy for him to act. I think that's just him. It's so chilled. He keeps his cool. He keeps his calm. And I do feel like that's probably him as a human rather than him as a character, and it works because I don't feel like he has to act and try. It's just him doing what he does best.
It's just them following him, like that scene where he's giving like a talk in a college. That's just him every day.
Exactly. Like he really didn't have to try, and I think he brought the level of humor that I wanted to see in the film. And it sort of brings it all back because there's something for everyone. There's something for the fans. You've got nods to some of the previous movies, and then just you pull him out the bag, and all of a sudden it's just beautiful. And he just gives the comedic timing that doesn't feel forced. It's just him playing this character who, it's not even like he comes across as dim. He's just very
wacky,
and that's just his character.
Eccentric. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Just before we wrap up, the last scene I wanted to talk about quickly is similar to what you mentioned earlier about the sort of Tim Cook sort of energy. The scene where Jeff Goldblum gets discovered as being handed out information and stuff, and for a second I thought, oh, they're gonna kill off his character here because he's been found out. They brought him in, and he just turns around and he's like, "You're fired," and he's like, "Is that it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, that's weird for a villain.
Right, but that's exactly what I mean by the start. I think it's nice to not, there's what does that character gain from killing that character?
Exactly,
because, this villain, this Tim Cook style villain, he already has the power that he needs, and he's already seeing everything unfold, and he feels so powerful that Jeff Goldblum's character is just nothing to him. And I thought it was nice that there weren't obvious consequences to the whole thing, because this guy, believed in his product and believed in the technology, believed in his other stuff, that actually we don't need you. We don't need your experience. So I thought it was a really nice way to wrap it up and not all of a sudden kill off characters for the sake of killing them off. It was just, okay, if you think you can do better, I'll screw you over another way and we'll see it in another movie. But I actually really appreciated that part of the film. Thought it was good.
Hilarious. But yeah, overall, I guess we can both say it's an undisputed movie from here at Undisputed Nerds. Brilliant. Anything else you want to add, or happy to wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, just for me, I just loved the diversity of actors that were included in this film. And I think the casting of it was phenomenal. You heard multiple dialects throughout, different races, different backgrounds. They factored everything in from my eyes, and picked the right people for the roles. And this is the first time I think I've seen it where it really feels like they have done the casting spot on and picked the right people for the job. So hats off. Thought it was phenomenal casting.
Absolutely, completely agree. It's and again, the movie as a whole is just a fun experience with some great sequences and such. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. Cool. So just to wrap everything up, of course, you can follow Undisputed Nerds on all your favorite social platforms. That's at @Undisputed_Nerds on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, we have a Facebook page, so make sure to check that out. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop in a comment. Let us know what you think of the movie, of course. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, make sure to subscribe, give us a star rating. Again, leave a comment. And as always, all the relevant links will be in the description down below, including Surfshark VPN. Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to discuss this movie with me. It's been a blast. Have you enjoyed being on the show?
I've loved it. And I will admit, it's my first podcast, so it's an absolute go easy on me, people in the comments, people on the internet. So thank you for having me, and hopefully join you for some more in the future.
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be fun. First time caller.
Hey.
Hey. Cool. As always, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and make sure to check out Undisputed Nerds everywhere. Thank you very much. Bye.